Oh,
You must find the holy relic of my order.
I like it.
If you don't, not only will the vile necromancer keep tormenting the region, he will succeed in resurrecting a demon far more powerful
Oh my god, who's the demon here?
demon that has ever existed.
Jesus.
The relic itself.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 66 of the Thought Patrol podcast. It is me and Shawn this week. Shawn, how you fucking doing, dude?
I am delicious.
I'm glad you're delicious, dude. Man, nothing better than
You're
being...
delicious, Kyle.
Yeah. It's not easy being cheesy, right?
It's not, no.
No, it's not. And some people just don't recognize the struggle it takes to be as overwhelmingly I'm trying to get these papers. As overwhelmingly sexy as we are on a daily basis. Like,
It takes a lot of work. It's a big responsibility.
It does. I have to wake up at least an hour before everyone else just to get myself prepped and ready for the day. You know, get my hair done, brush my teeth, do my thing, and make myself presentable to the rest of the world. People don't know the struggle, the societal pressures that podcasters have. You guys can't even see our really fucking faces. We can't even see our fucking faces. It's possible that you have never seen my face before, except unless you look at the Twitch streams or eventually or some of the Let's Plays on YouTube. None of you have ever seen Shawn's face before. I hope to rectify that in the future. Maybe as we get more technology and shit in everyone's hands, so we can do video calls. I think that'd be really cool.
Either that or I just move down south, then pop up at your parents' house so your mom can meet the pedo in person.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm sure she'd like that. So,
That's an inside joke, by the way, guys. I'm not really a pedo.
Yeah. It depends who you ask.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Exactly. So, we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us every week, tuning in. We're going to be talking about Nintendo's recent Direct that they dropped. We've got a lot of exciting things. We're also going to talk a little bit about Resident Evil 2, the trailer they dropped for the remake that's coming out, which looks absolutely phenomenal. So we have child-friendly video games and gore, blood, and zombies. So two perfect things to mix together. It's going to be exciting. But first, we're going to get into everyone's week. Shawn, how have you been, my friend?
I'm still working on getting the fuck out of where I work. To date, it's been a bit of a challenge. Outside of that, things have actually been not the worst ever.
Nice.
You know? Yeah. So we'll see. Been playing Trove. Been playing Spider-Man, although I'm giving that a little bit of a break because I was losing sleep. And getting a lot more practice in thanks to Senior Kyle here with my ninja, so I can not be garbage.
Hell yeah,
on
dude.
Final Fantasy.
It's interesting because I've been leveling that up and getting used to how it plays, and I unlocked the ninjutsu. Although I only have one of the motions, which is like chi. I think the first one's T. It's chi, 10, and chi. Wait, no. It's 10 is first, then Jing, and then chi. I don't know. It's like heaven, earth, and man or some shit like that. I don't remember. So, and the way it works for those of you who don't play Final Fantasy XIV is it's an MMO, first of all. And the class is a DPS. It's like a typical rogue, but you move into ninja eventually. And your job specification, like you start as a normal class and you move into a advanced job as you level. Usually at level 30, you'll get your advanced job. And then sometimes you go even further when you get to like the expansions. Some classes have like a third part to them. I think. Does any class have a third part or only? I think. Yeah, they do because the
most of them don't.
The gladiator turns into the paladin, which then they could renounce everything and turn into the Dark Knight. I know they can do that. Yeah. So you can do 3 on some of them. Not everyone have that. Some just go. You start at 0. You're like a the basic class, and then you go into like more of an advanced class. Some of them branch out. Like if you start as a summoner or an arcanist, you can move into a summoner or into a scholar, and then a summoner is like a DPS centric class, while as a scholar is a pet based healing class, which is really cool. But back to the ninja. The ninja's cool because your whole job specification when you actually get into ninja is you unlock ninjutsu, which is pretty much you're literally Naruto. But you get 10 chi and then one third one, which I think is heaven. I don't remember what it's called. And you get combos, like a fighting game almost. And then you basically queue up an attack using 10 chi and the third one. And then you hit the ninjutsu button and you'll basically finalize that combo, and it will do a move depending on what you queued up using the hand movements, basically. So you have different...
It goes deeper than that.
Yeah, but you can have...
Those spells that you do when you do your ninjutsu, those also have an effect on what moves work, how effective they are, and depending on what you're doing, like everything has like an impact on your actions. So you like if you have, because it engages a series of buffs, and those buffs can actually affect other party members. They affect your moves. They can change depending on what you have active. It changes how you fight and what's effective and what isn't. So it goes pretty fucking deep.
Yeah, it's a very mechanically intensive class, which is really cool. And I'm enjoying it a lot, although all I have currently is 10, so I can only do one combo, and that's like an enhanced like ninja star I could like throw. But it's nice because when you start early, because all of your basic attacks sit on a universal cooldown, you feel kind of slow, but as you move, the ninjutsu sits. It doesn't rely on any global cooldown or universal cooldown, which is nice. So you can weave it into your combo in any way that you like, and it makes the gameplay faster as you level because you have more things to weave in between your basic combo. Whereas a lower level, you just start, you have your combo, you hit one, and then you hit two, and then they lead into each other. But then once you get ninjutsus and then you get other buffs that are specific to your role, like DPS and stuff like that, you can weave those in and out of your main combo, and it makes the combat much quicker and it feels faster. You get more burst as well and stuff like that. So it's definitely a super fun class. Like Final Fantasy has some awesome classes. Like I liked WoW for what it was, but they did a lot to neuter like the mechanically intensive side of the game. Like they did a lot to classes to make them more simple. There's some classes at the top of the charts maybe rotate through 1 to 2 rotations, and they're like 2 button presses. Like the Arcane Mage, you literally do one thing the entire time. You build up a buff, and then when it's full, you spam one move until the buff goes down, and then you replenish your mana and then restart, basically. Sometimes you'll have like a buff you could drop on the ground to make you stronger, but they neutered a lot of the intensive side on the character side. The raids are mechanically intensive, but it's just something you do to avoid being basically one-shot, where instead of giving you more of a challenge to maximizing your damage, min-maxing is not as difficult because you have less buttons that work in a specific situation. So you can have one rotation that works for most situations. Whereas, like, as we're speaking with the ninja, there are so many different possibilities depending on what's actively going on that you can move into, and that rotate and affect different things going on. Like one thing I like, one healing class that I thought was really cool is the astrologian or astrologian. I don't know how it's pronounced. And you're basically like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but you're a healer. So you have your basic heals, but as you can draw cards and they're like buffs, and you can slot the buffs, you can burn a buff and it gives a buff to the next card you draw. And on top of healing, the whole time you're rotating buffs in and out. It was a super fun fucking healing class. Really awesome and in-depth healing class that if played well and managed well, on top of doing everything else in the game, you can really exceed in keeping your party alive and maximizing damage output for your teammates if you run and burn proper cards and store other proper cards. It was such a fun class to like sit down and learn. And I love that class. It is so cool. Although you have your basic healers too. Like the Scholar is a very basic healer, but they're a very reliable healer. You have a pet that can heal with you, which is something you don't really see that often either. And it's overall, I like the classes in Final Fantasy more than, although I've only done like 2 to 3, but I've also watched stuff on other classes. I've seen other people play through classes and watch other people run through rotations. And I've heard the complaint from others that there used to be mechanically intensive, like the Death Knight, I think is what it was called. It used to have, like, you would actually have to think while you were using the class, while you ran through your rotations. Whereas now it's been kind of simplified and broken apart. So there's 3 different specs instead of them all remaining on one. And you have to kind of manage what buffs you're sitting in while you do your rotations, and it affects how you play. But they completely remove that and make it where now it's just 3 different specs that you can sit on. Now, WoW, it has a better netcode. It should be, because it's like it's been around for so long and it feels better. Although Final Fantasy doesn't feel horrible. But there's pros and cons to each. I think Final Fantasy is a prettier game. It looks nicer. I like that it has crossplay, so I could play with you, Shawn. But I like that there is a deep learning curve to some of these classes. And there are also simple classes. I like that. Like, I love taking the time to master something and then taking that into a dungeon with your friends and learning it. And I like that especially with the ninja, they take the time to realize that, almost to the point where when you fuck up, they let you know, like if you screw up your ninjutsu in a dungeon or anywhere, if you screw up your ninjutsu whatsoever, it's connected to the class, you'll hear like a little poof and a bunny will sit on your head and you won't get any buff whatsoever. So if you fuck up your combo, you get a little bunny that sits on your head for a few seconds. So everyone around you, you can kind of hear it, there's a voice, there's like a cue for it too. It's not too loud, but it's noticeable if you're not doing anything else. You can see that, oh, hey, the ninja fucked up his combo. So they're like, even to the point was like, hey, this class is kind of difficult to learn, kind of difficult to master. And when you do screw up, we're going to make fun of you for it. But like, I like that nod. I think it's really cool. And the whole class as a whole, I've had a bunch of fun playing. It's a really awesome and deep class, and I'm only like at the top of the barrel. I haven't gotten to any of the deeper stuff yet. I only have one of the combos. And I looked through the list, and there's a shitload of combos that all do different things. It's going to be super fun to learn, and like, again, min-maxing. That's all MMOs are about. Minimizing the damage you take, maximizing the damage you do. And I'm just super excited to further delve into that. I'm happy to be back in Final Fantasy. It's nice that I could be playing with you as well, Shawn. The only thing I missed from WoW is the fact that WoW has something called Details, which is an add-on that real-time tracks your DPS. And Final Fantasy doesn't have that because they have a console version. So in order for them to do something like that, they'd have to incorporate it into the main build of the game. It's not something you can download from the internet, because then you wouldn't be able to implement it on a console. They do have something that you can do where the game launcher, it tracks everything. You can have it write logs and make them on your computer. So you can have a window open, and when at the end of a dungeon, it will create a log of all the damage you did, how long the dungeon took. I don't know if it affects other party members too, but it's called a parser. And it does that. It basically logs the entirety of a dungeon and relays it back to you. So you can look at your stats, but you can't see them real time like you would in WoW. So it kind of has it, but it's really not something built into the game at this point. So I would love to see that in the future. But it's definitely, I do like Final Fantasy just a little bit more. Again, I have no previous connection to Warcraft. I never played any of the RTSs, so I don't really have a love for that world like I do for Final Fantasy, where when I see a boss that has existed in previous games, I get excited because it's something that reminds me of the past, compared to Warcraft, where they do have a deep lore. There's a deep connection to everything going on, but I don't know fucking any of it because I haven't been involved in this universe whatsoever. So I'm a little bit biased to Final Fantasy, although I do realize the things that WoW does right and does wrong compared to Final Fantasy, what it does right and does wrong. So Both fantastic things in their own right. It's just I'm a little bit more on Final Fantasy side, and it's also cool that it has crossplay. I think that's such a cool feature, especially for an MMO. It's really nice to be able to play with basically anyone that has the game, as long as they're on your realm. And you could even do cross-realm stuff. We've done that before. We did that on stream not too long ago. So definitely fun with that. I'm sorry. Do you have anything else to go with your week, Shawn?
No, not really. I saw Predators, or The Predator.
Okay. What'd you think of that?
It was fucking awful. And the guy who was in the original, he played the dorky looking dude with the glasses.
Okay.
I think he was one of the first ones to bite it in the original. Spoiler alert. That dude directed it. And one would think that he would I mean, and Shane Black's done some good stuff. This was not one of them. It was a mess. It was like you had some really great actors in it. You had Emily Blum, I think, who's gorgeous and a good actress, and she couldn't save it. I mean, her character was just garbage, and she did okay with it, but she couldn't save the movie. There's a kid in it, played a kid with Asperger's. He was really good. Thomas Jane was in the fucking movie. The guy's a powerhouse. He's a good actor. He could easily, even at, I think he's 50 something now, could still manage being a badass to helm a movie, and he would have been ideal to go up against the Predators. And instead, they got some new. The guys with most of the screen time were all relative newbies. They've all been bit characters and side characters. None of them have carried a movie, maybe a TV show. I don't know. They're all relative newcomers. Thomas Jane was wasted, and his character was forgettable. Like why was he even in that movie? Keenan Michael Keegan was neither funny nor dramatic. His two biggest talents. He was wasted. He was annoying. And the only other actor that of note in it was Jake Busey. I mean, there was another guy in it who always plays a bad guy, but I'm not going to get into him. He was okay. The black dude who was basically the bad guy for bad reasons. And in other words, they never give any reason why he's a douchebag. He just fucking is because of reasons.
Hell yeah. Sounds like something out of anime.
Jake Busey, tiny spoiler, Jake Busey played his father's son. Jake Busey's father, Gary Busey, was the one of the dudes in Predator 2 who died.
Okay.
And he was a government scientist who was chasing the Predator in New York or Chicago, I think it was. And Jake Busey played Keys, who is the other guy, Keys, his son. And so he was in it for like, I don't know, a blink and you'll miss it moment, and then he was gone. So they didn't even bring him back. So it's like, hey, shout out to the no, fuck it. You know, and then they tried to humorously throw in the get to the chopper, only instead of a helicopter, it was a motorcycle. Get to the choppers! Oh God!
Can hear the eyes roll.
Do bad things because they're bad guys, not for any logical reason whatsoever.
Now again, this can be slight spoiler, but it's something crazy. I heard something like the Predators were trying to absorb autism. Is that in the movie, or was that just a meme?
Sort of.
There's
a prevailing theory in psychological science where they believe that autism may, like specifically high functioning autism, Asperger's, where they kind of do the savant thing. Their brain becomes hyper focused in certain areas and redundant in others. Or not redundant. That's not the word I'm looking for, but
just lesser.
And some people believe it is humanity's vestigial attempts. No, that's the wrong word too. It's baby steps towards evolution.
Okay.
They think that Asperger's is a signal that we are evolving, that we are becoming more intelligent, that we are expanding our capabilities. Now, this is a minority, all right? The 99.9% of psychologists out there are not going to say that. Brain scientists are not going to say that. But there is a theory. And this kid who has Asperger's, who's really good with puzzles and patterns,
you know what that reminds me of?
Is able to decipher predator tech. And so the predators are hunting him because they want to absorb. Because what they've done is they've added a layer to predator mythology, and they're saying that the predators become the best hunters by taking the genetic material from the trophies they take
Okay.
and changing their physiology with it, which is why predators have some human DNA to. They share some genomes and shit.
Okay.
And by their physiology, I mean they're bipedal. They have the same kind of muscular structure, a similar skeletal structure. But that's a brand new thing that they added in this movie. The problem with the Predator movies is they introduce a new story idea and a new direction that never follow through with it. The only thing that followed through is AVP, and Requiem was worse than the first one. They were just garbage. And again, they didn't bother getting any named actors. They didn't try and write a script that made any sense. The first two Predators worked, even though the second one was a bit boring. The first two worked, and Predators on the alien world worked because it was a simple premise. You had actors that were strong enough to carry it and charismatic enough to carry it, and there was enough layers to the story and mysteries to the story left unanswered that you could continue to explore the story concept. But with the Predators, I'm sorry, the Predator, this one, with the AVPs, they introduced new directions and then abandoned them because they fucked them up. And that seems to be the pattern of studios now. Introduce an idea. If it doesn't work, fuck it. We'll try a different one with the same goddamn concept, which is capitalized D-I-C-K, ulus.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous. It's stupid. And that's what they did with this one. They introduced a new idea, Predator's gene splice. Okay, whatever. So they have a super predator and then the normal predator, and I'm not going to spoil any more, but everything that they try and tell you in the story has nothing to back it up. There's nothing previously existing. Characters work together because plot. Bad guys are bad guys because bad guys.
Okay.
Predators do predator things because magic reasons that we know stuff. No explanation how we know it. Just whatever. Because reasons. And then you have the one director who's directing the movie as if he was three people. One guy who loves Michael Bay movies and wants to do more of that stupid shit. Especially like we're talking the Dark of the Moon, dinosaur level Transformer movies, not the first two, which were at least somewhat tolerable. Or the Ninja Turtles shit. It's like a third of the movie. It felt like they shot three movies: a Michael Bay movie with Predators, a guy who wants to do nothing but homages to the first movie and doesn't know how to do it right, and then I don't remember what the third one was. I figured it out a while ago. It doesn't fucking matter. You have a guy who wants to do an action comedy, right?
Okay.
And then they took the three movies and cut up bits and pieces of each movie and tried to glue it together to make one movie, which is tonally fucked. I wanted to like this movie, but I expected it to be garbage because it wasn't following up on Predators. So unless Adrian Brody and that cute Spanish chick was going to pop up, it wasn't going anywhere. And it didn't go anywhere. They didn't bring them in. They just went in a new direction. It was fucking stupid. If you were excited to see this movie, either wait till $1 movie or fucking steal it. I don't care. But don't fucking pay 14 some odd dollars to go see this fucking movie. It's a huge waste of time.
What about okay, so I could tell you don't like it. What would you give it out of 5? We're supplementing a review corner. A 1.
1.5 because Emily Blum is gorgeous.
Okay. Get a half a point for pretty actresses. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's about all you're getting from me because that just it's not. If you really put some thought into it, it's not hard to make a Predator movie. It's really not hard. I mean, the basic premise of it is not super difficult. You just add a little bit new and do what Predators do best and have people be ingenuitive and survive. I mean, that's all. I fail to grasp why it was so difficult for people to make a decent Predator movie. As much as people complain about the second one, it wasn't. It's not that it was bad. The Predators were done well. The hunting was done well. The kills were done well. It's just something about the second movie just didn't resonate with viewers. It was a little on the dull side. Danny Glover is not exactly what you would call an action star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his movies, he's a good actor and his movies work, But the reason why Lethal Weapon worked was because he wasn't an action guy and Mel Gibson was. So I've never seen him helm an action movie where he's doing all the action stuff. It's just not something that happens. So when you put him in the midst of an anti-predator thing, you're trying to give it more of a gritty, cerebral kind of thing going on, and it just didn't pan out very well. Maybe he wasn't the right fit for it, or maybe it's just the movie just wasn't entertaining enough. But the first movie, if you really watch it, is like 45 minutes of wandering around in the woods and staring at trees, and 15 minutes of weird dialogue, and then the rest is Predator stuff. So if it was able to succeed in being a good film, and there's really not that much to it, you know, especially in the first movie, it's like a less is more scenario, like Jaws, in a sense. And I mean, even the first movie fucked up because they showed the alien spacecraft when the movie starts. So, like, any surprise about the biggest twist in the movie is immediately taken away. You know it's an alien from jump. And the movie still succeeded in being an instant classic. So it's not a complex formula, and I don't really understand why they fuck it up so hard. But it's disappointingly stupid.
Okay, so 1.5 autistic.
1.5 spines ripped out of 5.
Nice, dude. I was gonna say 1.5 autistically fueled predators. Dude, that's the end of time.
Yeah, I can just see it. You get a bunch of predators that are brilliant at Rubik's cubes but can't hunt people for shit.
Shit, dude, it'd be over. Nothing else we can do, man. Nothing else. It'd be the end of time as we know it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
what are we gonna do? I don't know. Get him a Game Boy. Fuck shit, man.
Yeah, dude, keep him busy. All right. So I'm glad you didn't enjoy it. Let's move on to I think I kind of talked about my week. I'm back in Final Fantasy 14. I did finish Spider-Man. Well, not 100%, but I finished the main story. I've kind of decided I'm not going to go back and finish the side stuff just because I'd rather do other things than do busy work in a Spider-Man game. I might eventually go back to it in the future. When I just get a need to swing around the city, and then I could just keep my time satiated. But as of right now, I kind of want to get some Final Fantasy time in, level up another class. My ninja right now is like 33, actually 35, I think, because I did a leveling dungeon before we got in here. But I'm enjoying the grind. Again, happy to be back in. We did on the stream yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. We did the 5-year anniversary event, which basically retells the Calamity right before Realm Reborn came out, where they basically is like, fuck it, the MMO's in a really bad state. We're just going to destroy the world and rebuild it. And they made that basically a lore event as well. And they had a retelling, and it's basically one of the main cities, Ul'dah, and it's getting hoarded by like raid level bosses. And you go in as a big public event, and you go in as a group with like 140 other people. If you're in our Discord, or you want to see a portion of this, you could check out our Twitch. We do have a clip there. I think it's just titled RIP. And it's literally one enemy slashing and taking out, like, it had to be like 60 people with one slash of his sword. Just literally wiped out a whole group of people. And it was just so much fun, just because of the absurdity of it. Because you have gigantic, again, raid level bosses that just pepper the area with huge one-shotting AoEs that are annihilating hundreds of adventurers. And you're just watching groups of people drop and then respawn and run back out into the fray as everyone is trying to complete this event. Really fun time, and looking back on the shittier state of the game and stuff like that. And it's been fun. It's been fun. We definitely me and Shawn had a blast playing that. Again, you could check the VOD. The VOD should still be up as well. Again, over at twitch.tv/ThoughtPatrol. It was a blast. Definitely enjoying that. But for Spider-Man's main story, without any spoilers, I thought it was good. I mean, I know it's a comic book game, but it's very predictable, the story, for the most part, throughout most of it. It was enjoyable, but there was just like some things that they didn't like fully explain at the ending, and there were just a couple of plot contrivances to kind of push a certain emotion. I'm trying not to spoil anything. That just didn't feel like they kind of settled right with me. I feel like they tried a little too hard at the end, kind of. But the rest of the game was really good. I enjoyed the best part for me was pretty much the feel of the game, the movement, the combat. It was never really too difficult. Like the final fight wasn't really anything too hard. I never failed it, and I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. So I wish there was kind of like more of a push for something difficult, I guess. I mean, with all these supervillains and their abilities, you can kind of get you can get creative with the fights, make them a little bit more interesting than web up this thing so you could punch it 5 times and then you're good kind of thing. Like make it where you have to kind of think a little bit while you're fighting. But they really never did that. It was very hand-holdy throughout most of it. Again, it is the initial attempt at this, so hopefully it gets better as we see more of these games. I just want to see this get better. Like I want the next game to be perfect. Hopefully they
see this as more of a proof of concept.
Oh, definitely. So it was definitely a great game though. I really enjoyed it. It's awesome. It was fun. I'm excited to move on though, so that's why I don't think I'll be going back again unless I have a need to swing around the city or a feel to swing around the city. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm thinking, is there anything else? Game-wise, I think it's about it. For those of you who might be curious how far I got in WoW, I think I was at like Mythic +3s. I did the first wing of the raid. I never fully did it though. So I got pretty far into it. I put a decent amount of time into it. I enjoyed my time there, but I'm definitely, again, a little bit biased towards Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm excited to move forward. I want to get into like the extreme trials and stuff in Final Fantasy. The really intensive shit later in the game. I really enjoy the trials. I'm not gonna lie. I like having basically a raid, but not the time commitment that a raid comes with. So you have a mechanically intense fight that it's basically a raid boss, but you don't have to take 9 hours to get there, kind of thing. So I do enjoy that. And yeah, I'm just excited to keep playing. That's about it. I'm like even right now, I just want to get back on the ninja and learn more combos and start unlocking more of like the ninjutsus and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. But besides that, my week's been really good, dude. Just been saving up, trying to get a car, a better car. My car's not awful, but it could be better. I've never had like a serious scare, but I've had some scares with it just because it's an older car. It's like it's not really old. It's like a 2004 Ford Taurus SES, I think, something like that. But it's never like I've never been driving and a piece fell off or like a wheel flew off. It's not that bad, but it's definitely had its share of problems. So that's about it. But I'm glad you could join me tonight, Shawn. We're going to be talking about Nintendo's recent Direct, some exciting developments going on. I'm super excited for some of the games coming to the Switch. We also learned a little bit more about their online service and a few things coming there. And yeah, so before we move into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, we got some housekeeping. Like we said earlier, we do Twitch streaming. We do it multiple times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do Twitch streaming. We play a bunch of different games. It could be anything. We do Siege. We've done Fortnite. We don't always do Fortnite. We streamed Final Fantasy last night. Usually Saturdays are more laid back. On Friday nights, we have a horror night, so I download some indie horror games. Actually, Shawn, I found a really fucking good indie horror game. It's called Immure, Immure. And it's like oh dude, I gotta talk about this game. This game is really good. And I'm like at the point where I'm gonna kickstart it because I just want to see more of this game. So you're basically a dude. I don't know where you are, but you find this thing and they call it like a tropeppa hydrozoid, or I don't know. It's like a diamond, but it's got a few extra sides on it. Something like that, yeah. And you control it with your mouse and you walk around, and it's all a side scroll, but it's like almost like it's not storybook, but it's got like kind of a cartoony feel to the environment. And you have the thing, and it's basically your cursor, but it's also a light, and you can stun things with it. But you're dropped into these different rooms, and each room has a different monster in it. And they all have like multiple souls in the room. And your job, and there's kind of a morality aspect to it, your job to get out of where you are, you're bestowed the whatever, you're supposed to learn about the monster, like why it's there, because it's usually a fallen soul from someone. And the monster's there to terrorize the soul, basically. It's like a distorted version of themselves. And it's terrorizing the soul and wreaking havoc and killing other people trapped in this like purgatory type thing. And so the first one I went into was like a burning apartment building. And you go around and they have like notes that you can pick up. But the whole thing is you're kind of like finding out what happened, why they died. And you can do two things. You can either find their humanity and restore it to them so their soul will pass on, or you can destroy their soul by recreating their death. So this one was a firefighter that he had failed to save this little girl, and she burned to death. She burned alive. And he watched her die, basically. And she's also in this area. Like she wanders around. Although I couldn't figure out like how to restore his humanity, so I just ended up destroying his soul because it pissed me off, and I was just stuck. I was wandering for like 40 minutes. If I wasn't streaming, I would have continued, but the fact that like it's not very conducive to a stream for you to just sit there and wander. It's just boring. Like I'd rather be making progress. So I just thought I'd just go to the next room, whatever. But like the firefighter, when he kills himself because of this grief. So he punches out like a picture, and he takes some glass and he slits his throat with it. And you go and you eventually can find his corpse. And I found it, and I took his gas mask to solve the puzzle somewhere else. But you go up and down this apartment building, and his soul is wandering it. And it's been killing other people. That souls are also there that you have to help them. But his soul's like this gigantic firefighter, and his back has been bursted out, and it has like a oxygen canister sitting out of it, and he's walking around with this big axe. And it's creepy because he's fast and he's smart. So you can hide, but you can't really kill him. You have to you either have to restore his humanity or destroy his soul in order for him to actually go away. So he had multiple times where he scared the shit out of me, because he can be above you, because it's basically a typical apartment. So each side has stairs that rise up the floors, and there's just rows of rooms, not an apartment, I don't know, rows of rooms that you can look through and do things. Some of them are locked, some of them also, it's just a bunch of puzzles you're trying to solve. And he roams the halls, basically. He goes up the sides. And sometimes you can hear him, if he's above, you can hear him, you can see him stomping around, like he'll like drop dust from where he's standing. And every once in a while, he'll get like a burst of speed. And if you make noise, it will be towards your direction usually. So I was just chilling, right? And I heard a door open, and I'm like, what was that? And I just hear him hauling ass down the stairs, Shawn. Like he is straight up, practically like CrossFit, like hauling ass down the stairs.
2D?
Yeah, it's 2D. I could show you either the game or the stream afterwards so you can see what it kind of looks like.
Sounds like a little bit of Fatal Frame inspiration.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it would be killer in 3D too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it'd be cool. I do like the 2D because again, it kind of has like almost like a storybook kind of feel to it. The way the art is, it's really cool. And again, that's Amur. It's on Itch.io, and I don't know where you could go to kickstart it. Probably on Kickstarter. So I have no idea though. I haven't tried yet, but I'm going to. I want to see this game like come to be because there's a lot to it already, and you can play it for free right now. At least a demo of it. So, again, I found his body, and I found out that I didn't actually find out what happened to him, why he eventually led to killing himself, besides the fact that there was grief. Because also, when I did decide just to kill him. So I stunned the ghost, and I found the shard of glass that he used to kill himself, and I slit the ghost's throat, and it destroyed his soul. And when I did that, the girl that was burnt alive, she came up, and she got mad with me and defended him. So I think there was something much deeper going on there that I just I wasn't privy to at that point. But like I found his suicide note, and you take notes of everything. If you walk into a room and there's something going on, your character will take a note of it, and it's all brought in your inventory, and you're basically a detective. You're trying to figure out what happened in this story that caused this person to do this, and trying to save him. If you want to save him, you have to go the full length of the thing, or if you want to get out of it early, you can just destroy the soul. But again, there's a morality aspect. The moment I did that, when I got out, I got like a letter from someone else, and they basically shunned me because I killed him. But I just did it to push the stream forward. I do want to try it again and see if I can actually solve it. But I just want to see more of this game. And there's like 15 doors that you can go through. And I got into the next area. Actually, no, I did finish the demo because I got into the next area and another monster jumped out at me. It was like out in like a forest. And then that's when the demo ended. It's like, oh, thanks for playing, blah, blah, blah. So it was just super cool. And they dropped this whole first area for you to explore and work with. Like the girl had her own story. There was something she was trying to do and she died. And that was the reason she was in the apartment when it was on fire. I think she was trying to save a stuffed animal or something like that, and she died, and he wasn't able to hold her back because there's something going on. But there's like, and when I did end up killing him, I found an extra room, and his body was in there like crucified, and his head was like cut from the neck. The gore in this game is also really good. Again, it's all drawn, like hand drawn, but it's very real the way it looks, the body dismemberment. How the bodies are broken down, it all looks really good. It definitely builds a super creepy, dark, atmospheric vibe. It's just an awesome fucking game. I know Frost was with me like the whole time we were playing it, and it was just super good. Like I was like genuinely impressed with it, because usually these horror games, they're nothing to really bat an eye about. They're not really that interesting. Usually they're like you're in a creepy hospital doing something, but like every once in a while you will find like a diamond in the shit pile, and it will be like a genuinely really good game. And I want to support this one now. I'm super excited to see what this company does. And again, if that sounds interesting to you, you want to try it. It is on PC. It's called Immure. Immure. Just Google that. Google Itch.io. It's there. Really awesome game. I enjoyed it a lot. If you guys want to see if you can solve the mystery yourself, I couldn't. But super cool game, and I really enjoyed it.
Not sponsored, by the way. Just loving the game.
Yeah, dude. Awesome game. And those dudes, whoever are working on it, they did a good job with it. So I'm excited. I'd love to see it like eventually come to console and shit like that, although that'd be kind of difficult. The way what the game controls. But yes, that was fun. We also have a Discord, as I said. Again, all these ways to check us out will be in the description below. You'll see all the links to everything. If you want to hang out with us, talk with the community members, you can join the Discord. If you're on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment about anything we talk about. What is the Nintendo Direct announcement that's got you excited the most? Feel free to let us know. Also, you can subscribe while you're over there. If you're listening on a podcasting service, you can subscribe there as well. We're kind of all over the place. We got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, I think, and there's a few others, kind of more discrete ones. But I know Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play are like the largest ones. So feel free to check us out over there. We come out every Tuesday at 8 a.m. in the morning. Or I guess there's no 8 a.m. in the evening, but whatever. We also have a Twitter at ThoughtPatrolPD. You check out announcements from us there. We also have a Facebook and a sister Facebook page, The Streaming Geek. Those are both connected, but the Facebook is Thought Patrol Podcast. You can just search it up. You'll find us there. And finally, if you want to help us out, feel free to drop an iTunes review. whatever you think is right. If you want to leave us some solid feedback, say, hey, there's something here. I think you guys are awesome, or you guys make too many penis jokes. Whatever. Feel free to leave an iTunes review. It would help us out a lot. We'd really appreciate it.
They say such a thing?
I know, right?
I will cry, and I will not go to your funeral.
Damn, dude, that's rude.
I will not be your friend anymore if you are down on our penis jokes. Our penis jokes are wonderful.
I know, right? How dare they? What kind of nerve does someone exactly? All right, so we have a mailbag question from our boy Sam. It's quite lengthy. You know what it is. We got our D&D story continuing. So you need to hop on that shit, Shawn, actually. Just for this, the mailbag itself. I do like this a lot, though. I like that we have an ongoing narrative here coming from Sam. What happened, Shawn?
Tooraloo. That's all I got. Where did... What? Oh. My phone will randomly economize, and I mean, it knows what it's doing. I have no complaint, but it doesn't tell me it's doing it. So, like, it'll pick up on how I organize shit and go, oh, this belongs over here. Only I'll forget that I had it I won't know that it moved it. So I'll go to my folder and where it doesn't belong, like an audio thing in a video folder, for instance. And then I'll go to find it, and it's not there. And then I get all confused, and then everybody on the podcast thinks I'm loopy, which is not inaccurate. And then we end up in this position here, and penises. So,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam's actually writing us questions anymore. We just have the story going on. Although we would appreciate an actual question. Although you don't have to weave it into your story. But hey, if you guys want to...
I'm more fond of just the straight questions, because then I can actually get to it and see what it is, rather than... I get so sidetracked with grammar.
All right.
And then I'm lost.
If you want to leave us a mailbag, I do. If you want to leave us a mailbag question, if you want to leave,
I'm sorry, Sam. I love you.
If you want to leave us a mailbag question,
I won't interrupt you anymore. I promise.
You just interrupted me.
Yeah, I know.
If you want to leave us a mailbag question. If you want us to read something, answer a question of yours, something that you hold near and dear to your heart, or what our favorite type of cake is, something along those lines, we will answer pretty much any question. Feel free to leave that below. You can either do that through our aforementioned Twitter, Facebook, Discord, email, ThoughtPatrolcast@gmail.com. Anywhere there, you can send us your question. Leave it with the hashtag TP mailbag, and we will go ahead and read those. We would love to hear from you guys. Anything that sounds interesting to you, something you want us to talk about or mention on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you guys. So, Shawn, you ready? We got some shit to read.
Sam, we have got to shorten these chapters some. This is like 12 paragraphs or some shit. This is a long.
They're all also like quadruple spaced, so that's what makes it take so many pages. All right. So you're Seamus. I'll be K and Bojangles, pretty much. And then the question marks are the elf, if you want to be the elf as well. So you could be, you're the narrator, the elf, and Seamus.
Was the elf supposed to be a dumb? I don't remember how.
She was just like a high kept kind of female voice. Okay.
Elf is question marks.
Yeah, elf is question marks, I think. We'll figure it out as we go.
All right, I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
And all right, and I'm narrator, right?
Yeah, which is like 80s action. Yeah.
Narrator. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Get it?
The angelic figure floating in front of Bo looked down at him with a sincere hopelessness. She had just bestowed upon him a quest to locate a holy relic lost within the abysmal dungeon he was standing in that would not only aid him in his vendetta, but give her peace for a mistake that she made long ago. This is an elf. This is a fairy or angel or something.
I don't know. I remember her being an elf.
Is the elf with us? No.
She just appeared to us. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an NPC.
Yeah, NPC.
That's the elf?
Well, Caitlyn's an elf too, but the NPCs I think is also an elf. No. Well, yeah, this is the elf talk. Oh,
angelic
Jesus.
figure. All right, fuck it. This is the angelic figure talking.
Bojangles,
Oh,
you must find the holy relic of my order.
I like it.
If you don't, not only will the vile necromancer keep tormenting the region, he will succeed in resurrecting a demon far more powerful
Oh my god, who's the demon
than
here?
any demon that has ever existed.
Jesus.
The relic itself is a powerful ceiling morning star, not a floor, not a ceiling either, really. Ceiling like the kind that you put on pavement to make sure it doesn't crack in the sunlight.
Oh, I see.
The relic itself is a powerful ceiling morning star that can keep the
Don't do-
demon from returning to this realm.
Oh, sounds good.
All you have to do is find it and strike it on the ground where the
Stop.
summoning is happening. I must leave now for the evil powers that are eating away at my astral form.
It's kind of hot.
Please, Bojangles, you must find the relic
I'm
and
Bojangles.
stop the necromancer.
Beautiful.
Before Bo could utter one syllable, the mysterious elven lady vanished in a flash of bright white light. When the light subsided, Bo was standing in front of a huge, gray-skinned ogre wielding a giant hammer, and he was cocking it back, waiting to slam it down upon the young wizard's head. Oi, laddie! Get out of the way before I get a mincemeat! As the ogre swung, Seamus shoved... Fucking punctuation, Sam! As the ogre swung, Seamus shoved Bo out of the path of death and blasted the creature with a shot from his blunderbuss, which is like a shitty shotgun from the Middle Ages,
Yes.
causing the ogre to stagger. Well, actually, it wasn't the Middle Ages, but causing the ogre to stagger for a moment before giving out a mighty, thunderous roar that shook the walls and chains within the is it that kind of dungeon?
Ooh, ooh,
Chains?
ooh.
That's my kind of dungeon.
Hell yeah, dude. Can we
Look
not go
alive,
anywhere?
you youngsters! This ugly beast is gonna make us its afternoon snack. How can you tell what time it is? We're in a dungeon. Unless we bring it down. Bo, get it together, laddie, and help me and the lass, or just get out of our way. But where do you talk at all here? Bo was reeling from having a scrape with death and felt like the air in his lungs escaped him. He had never been in a fight before, and the reality of combat was quickly sinking in.
That's new. Kind of pussy am I?
Yeah, right? He closed his eyes. I thought you were a storied adventurer. When did you become a bit? He closed his eyes and thought of his grandfather lying on the ground of the guild, lifeless and unmoving, which is, what people do when they're dead. Rage
Exposition.
filled his body, and he roared an incantation. In front of the ogre, a dark lavender orb.
Wait, let me
appeared
roar my
and began
incantation.
running at-
Let me roar my incantation.
Roar away.
Wait, fuck. What was it I had in my head, dude? Wait. Oh my gosh, dude, it was in my mind and I lost it.
It was a hell of a roar, man. It was so intense, it just wiped your memory.
Dude. Wait. Let me listen. Let me listen. Wait, let me think. 1 second. I had it. I think it's. Damn, dude. Wait. I gotta find it because it was a meme. Wait. Time out. Okay, I found it. All right. Prepare me for my incantation. Read that again in your awesome voice, but give me a break to read my incantation.
Rage filled his body, and he roared an incantation.
Skedaddle, skedoodle, your dick is now a noodle.
In front of the ogre, a dark lavender orb, very pretty, appeared and began growing in size. The ogre swung at the orb, which then began to lift the creature into the air.
Wow, I'm pretty strong.
Poe was holding his staff in the air with a look of rage and malcontent as he glared at the creature before him, which somehow I guess was responsible for your grandfather's death.
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't know. Then he motioned his staff down, causing the orb and ogre to crash to the ground with a rumbling boom that cratered the floor of the dungeon. The ogre, mangled and bloodied, began crawling toward the top of the crater.
Dude, I use void magic or like gravity stuff. That's badass. All right.
Gravity stuff.
Bo's
What stuff?
Bo's Batman, right? I think he was. Did I say you could get up? Oh, wait, what was that? Did I say you could get up, lift, and push?
What is this, aerobics? As the words escaped his lips,
Get
Bo's
them crouches.
staff glowed a bright purple along with his arms. The ogre was floating above the crater, helplessly flailing about. Around. The next second, the creature was thrust 50 feet away from the adventurers, causing the ground to shake as it landed. What in blazes was that? Are you some sort of demon, boyo? I've never seen that kind of magic before.
It's void magic. Very rare. Very forbidden. But if you can master it, you can bend the law of physics to your will. My grandfather perfected it and learned how to control it without being consumed by the side effects. Don't take any antidepressants, kids.
It's the hell of a high, guys. What was that that halfway decent ecchi anime where the girl was one of like two people that could use void magic, but she couldn't use any other magic because she sucked at it? Like if you're good at void magic, you can't use anything else.
All that reminded me of Konosuba, but with explosion magic.
Yeah, but well, no, she had the ability in Konosuba. She just chose not to.
Yeah.
And this chick was like friends with the princess, and
I don't know.
And
none of it sounds familiar.
Fuck it, whatever. You know it. You saw it. You said it. We both agreed it was cute but pointless.
Okay. It was ecchi?
K is the.
That's Caitlyn.
No, yeah, it was ecchi.
Caitlyn.
Side effects? You mean the rage, glowing eyes, and weird voice?
Yeah, the glowing eyes and weird voice. I was just getting the hang of it before, I give in.
Nudge. As much as I appreciate you taking care of that beast, you need to get that power in check. I've seen mighty magic users succumb to the power they wield. It's part of the reason why I despise magic and all who use it.
I know. It feels like I'm invincible. Like I can do anything. My grandfather taught me it, but on the condition that I would be responsible and not use it for evil. So far, I haven't done anything evil. Yet.
For our loyal listeners, the reason why I keep pausing for no reason is there's this spontaneously areas where there's like 20 spaces for no reason.
Yeah.
Before the next word picks up. Which is why Kyle keeps laughing. Good to hear. Now that the whole dungeon and the neighbouring town knows we're here, I suggest we go and make ourselves inconspicuous and hide quickly. The adventurers rushed into the nearest room with the intent of hiding from the horde they were expecting to come find them. But little did they know the room they chose to take refuge in was already occupied, and its resident was glaring at them with glowing red eyes. It's a fucking massive space, so I'm not going to do that one. Gravelly voice, kind of like a demon.
You're not supposed to read the fucking script notes.
I'm thinking out loud at this point. Because I'm...
Give me a demon voice.
Welcome to my humble abode. I'm so glad you paid us a visit.
That's part of the script. That's Venom, dude. We're gonna
Where's
run into
the fucking question.
He said there wasn't one.
That's it? Just the story? No question? Oh, you cock tease! Oh, fuck you! And gently, of course, like
Yes,
Tenacious
always.
D, but still.
And only when with consent provided, obviously. 2018 here, Shawn.
Unless I've got roofied.
Dude, it's Excuse me. Excuse me.
What was that? No, nothing.
One more time. Roofies? Excuse me. All right.
What was that?
So that was. We will tune in next time on the next episode of Dragon's Ball Z when we find out what the fuck happens to Bo and his group. All right. Number 1, Shawn. Box office. What do you think's first place?
Probably Predator again. I don't know.
It's the first week for Predator.
I didn't see anything. I thought last week was the first week for Predator. I know Predator topped the box office on Friday. Sadly, if the movie does well, we're gonna end up with more trash like it. So,
all right, number 1 is in fact Predator, pulling $24 million for the weekend, sitting at a total of $24 million. It's got a budget of $88 million. Worldwide, it's made $54 million. So, number 2, we have The Nun, pulling $18 million domestically, with a budget of $22 million. It is sitting at a total of $228 million worldwide.
As shitty as those movies are, The Nun has got to be better than Predator.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I haven't seen it. At number 3, we have A Simple Favor, pulling $16 million for the weekend, sitting in its first week, with a total of $19 million worldwide. I don't know what this is. See 2 girls on the cover. At number 4, we have White Boy Rick, pulling pulling $8 million for the weekend, sitting at a total of only $8 million. A street hustler, FBI informant, and drug kingpin all before he turned 16. Oh, I saw trailers for that. Okay, I know what that is.
Yeah, it looks whatever.
Yeah. At number 5, we have still holding on, Crazy Rich Asians, pulling $8 million for the weekend. With a budget of $30 million in its 5th week, it has a total of $187 million worldwide. So, other things, we have Searching sitting in 8th place with $3 million. Disney's Christopher Robin pulling $2 million for the weekend. I'd say at 11th. At number 10, we have Mission Impossible. Credibles 2 still holding on, almost making $1 million, sitting at 16th place. This movie has pulled $1 and almost $250 million worldwide, which is awesome because that's a fantastic movie.
Has yet to see it.
Oh, you haven't seen Incredibles 2? Dude,
No,
it's really
okay.
good. You need to go see it. Somehow Solo, a Star Wars movie, made 16 million or 16 million.
Oh, stop!
No, 16,000.
Stop supporting that movie,
16,000.
fucking jerk.
16,000.
What's wrong with you people?
It's made 392 million though worldwide, so
That is inexcusable.
big oof. Big oofs. All right. That's the box office. That's what's going on there. Some interesting events going on. Predator is shitty. All right. Moving forward, we have what to look for. We got 2 big things coming out this week. Depending on who you are, I guess it might not even matter. We have Blind coming to PSVR on September 18th. And we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, the Golden Country DLC coming to Switch on the 21st. So, 2 interesting things to look for. Right now, we're in a little bit of a lull as we wait till October gets going and we get Red Dead. So that's exciting. And then November, we got 76 and a few other things. October is also Call of Duty. So definitely some good games coming out. I don't give a fuck about Call of Duty, and Battlefield will be something I won't be picking up at launch. So the only thing I'm really looking forward to is Red Dead. And yeah, that's about it really. And Fallout 76, obviously.
The only thing I'll be looking forward to is Red Dead and
everything else.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's a Cthulhu game coming out, and Mega Man 11.
Oh
in
yeah,
October.
Mega Man 11.
There's 3 in November. Disgaea, the original Disgaea is being re-released. So
that's cool.
I never played any of the subsequent ones because I know the story continues on. And I know it's something in the vein of the Neptunia games, only instead of an RPG, it's a turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
So I've actually pre-ordered Disgaea 1.
The only one I've played through is 5, so I had no fucking clue what was going on the entire time. But they recently re-released them all on PC too, so I might eventually go back and pick the other ones up, at least the original, see how the story starts. But the games are pretty fun. It kind of reminded me of Tactics. I know it's a little bit different the way they do things, but like the Tactics games, I'm not too much of a fan of. I don't know, it's just not something I ever got into. So those games usually don't interest me, like XCOM and stuff like that, Divinity Original Sin, stuff like that. I don't know. It's just a bit of
Almost a bit different. But yeah, they're a little bit like goofy chess games.
I think the only one I like.
The tactics was difficult.
Yeah, the only one I got really into was the Fire Emblem series, which was kind of like Tactics, as there was like a tile-based system, and then you'd run up and smack a piece and stuff like that. I liked those games, but I liked it more for the story and the characters than the combat itself. Although the combat was cool, but I liked the story and stuff like that. I played a few Final Fantasy games, I think like almost 5 or 6 of them, but I've enjoyed those on the DS and 3DS and stuff like that. And they have good music. Man, they got good fucking music in those games. All right.
Tactics is a lot like Fire Emblem. As a matter of fact, Fire Emblem. There's another game that came out. Actually, Fire Emblem was one of the first turn-based strategies on Game Boy.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because you had Fire Emblem come out, Golden Sun and Fire Emblem. I believe Golden Sun was a turn-based as well. Don't quote me on that because it's been a while, but that drew in a whole new audience into the portables back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that or why I'm telling anyone that, but yeah, so that's the thing.
There were other games like that on game. I think it was Advanced though, but they were called Advanced Wars. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, those games were awesome too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They had a GameCube version come out, and it almost played like Battlefield did, but it was always single player. So you had like a big map, and you were a soldier. And they were like vehicles, but you could swap between units and move around and you complete objectives. But they had an Advance Wars game come out. It's completely different. Nothing like the originals, but it came out on the GameCube. And I remember being excited because I like Advanced Wars when I played it on the Advance. What else we got? All right, let's move into our news. We got a few things to talk about before we get into the main topic, which again is the Nintendo Direct. Got some exciting things. First thing, I guess Nintendo related. So we talked about this before, that there was a possibility that there would not be cloud saves, but it has been confirmed there will be no cloud saves for Nintendo Switch games like Pokemon and Dark Souls. The game will not support save data cloud backup. This is Patrick Faller from GameSpot. Nintendo Switch's online service has been much anticipated, and despite previous delays, its release is right around the corner. Now, it looks like one of its biggest selling features, especially if you've lost or broken your Switch, won't be available for all games. Some big titles like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee and Splatoon 2 will not allow cloud saves, as reported by Game Informer message saying the game does not. Have I read this article before?
We've had this discussion before, but
I know
I don't
we did.
remember if it was in the last podcast.
Did we?
Actually, I think it might have been in the last podcast.
Did they post this article? What the fuck? This is like the same exact thing, I think. I thought it was like there was like an update to the story.
No, it's the same thing.
Well, there's a little bit of
about how we thought it was
stupid.
Yeah, and that we also thought it was a good chance it's just Nintendo not knowing
what they're doing.
Stuff.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an update. Nintendo Switch's Online will go live sometime in the second half of September, which we're quickly approaching on. At that point, you'll need a subscription to be able to play online. We know that the service is $20 a year, $4 a month, or $8 for 3 months. There's also a $35 family plan that you can have multiple accounts on. So I think, all right, but that is, I guess maybe before it was like something that was actively happening, and then now it's confirmed, but they didn't like update the article whatsoever. So, okay, whoops. All right, next article. All right. We got one thing announced that's got me super excited. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remaster coming to the Nintendo Switch and PS4. I'm super fucking
Crystal
pumped about it. Hell yeah, dude.
The one with the
chalice.
The Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, it had the Game Boy Advance thing. Yeah.
That game was fun, but nobody... I mean, I owned it and couldn't find anybody to play it with because there weren't enough people...
That game was awesome. I really liked the whole chalice mechanic where you had to like carry that thing around because there's like a miasma all over the place that would poison you if you didn't. I thought that was cool as hell. This time you won't.
Mechanics were good.
Yeah, this time you won't need multiple Game Boy Advances. That's the thing.
That was the real problem, was needing the...
Yeah, definitely. All right, this is Timur Hussein. of GameSpot, Square Enix has announced it is remastering Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, and it will launch in 2019. A short trailer for the game has made its debut. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was originally released for Nintendo GameCube in 2004. The game tasks players with battling enemies and solving puzzles so they can safely gather myrrh, an energy source that sustains the crystals needed to protect the world from miasma. In the original release, multiplayer was enabled by connecting Game Boy Advances using a link cable. However, the remaster will actually have internet connectivity. What else? Oh my gosh, Shawn, I'm looking through the ads on GameSpot and there's a REM figure here. What the fuck? It's 25% off. Okay, I'm podcasting.
Send me make sure you send me a link to that.
So that's definitely got me excited. I agree with you. It was like one of those Final Fantasy games where you didn't really hear people talk about it too much, but it was really good. Like I enjoyed it a lot. Like I liked that you could even like, cause you had a Moogle carry the chalice around. I like that, like he can, there's just like little things that made the game interesting that made it feel more immersive. Like he would get tired and then you would have to carry the chalice. The chalice had to come with you everywhere because if it wasn't with you, you would slowly die. So there was always, they even incorporated puzzles to moving the chalice around so you could actually get through the world and stuff like that. And just everything about it was revolved around that and collecting the myrrh and stuff like that, fighting enemies, leveling up. It would basically be you traverse an overworld, and then when you encountered an enemy, you'd go into a turn-based combat where you pick an attack, and it was all nicely animated with like kind of chibi figures and stuff. You could pick your class straight from the get-go. And did they have it where like the classes would define, it was like actually a character? So if you picked a class, you would be a pre-designated character. So you'd be like a boy or a girl.
Correctly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't turn-based combat. It was
Was it real time?
It was like it was more like Secret of Mana. It was kind of like a hybrid. Like you could only attack when your meter filled up, but you could move around while you were attacking, and sometimes like you could do
you're right.
defensive actions and things like that.
And you could
So it was a bit it drew some fairly significant inspiration from Secret of Mana, but it used like a 3D. It was three-dimensional.
You could
It existed in a three-dimensional space.
I remember that was like one of my early encounters with like the Morble, like for the first time. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That thing scared the shit out of me because it was actually a boss and it was gigantic, like maybe like 10 times the size of your character.
The Marlboro.
Yeah. I also liked like you could you get like a team. As you move around, you find other characters and they join your party, other shit like that. But it was just cool, the whole mechanic of the miasma and moving the crystal around. And you could even like, your Moogle, you can paint him, so you could put stupid designs on him. So while he's holding the chalice, I made mine look like a bee. So it was a Moogle that was painted to look like a bee. He looked like so cute, and you just carry the chalice around. But that was definitely, I enjoyed that game a lot. So I'm excited to see it coming to Switch. I'll definitely be picking this up. Especially depending on what time it releases in 2019. But I'm definitely excited.
You should pick it up on PlayStation, and I'll play with you.
Oh yeah, I will, dude. Let's do that. Fuck the Switch. But barely even. I will say I'll play it and then I won't play it. But yeah, I'll pick it up with PS4. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, no offense to the Switch. I mean, I mean.
No, dude, you make a good point.
Switch. Fuck you, Nintendo.
I read the Switch first and I completely forgot it was coming to PS4. But yeah, dude, we should play that together. That'd be fun as hell. I never got to play that game multiplayer.
Definitely. I only made it to the second hub. I hate calling them hubs. The second village. You start off in the one village. And then you go through the various little mini dungeons, because it's not a complicated game.
No.
You go through like 3 or 4 levels, and I think you pass a wagon where you can buy items or some shit. And then there's a second village, and then there's like a gate. And I got that far, and I was able to drag some of it quasi-solo. But after that, I couldn't find anybody to play with anymore, so that's as far as I made it, which was frustrating, because it's not like the game was cheap.
Yeah, you could beat the whole game solo. I did. Especially once you get other party members.
You couldn't. With party members, but you couldn't play it by yourself.
I did. I never played multiplayer.
There's no way you could do it because you can't carry and attack. That's
what the Moogle's for. The Moogle carries the chalice for you.
I don't know what you're talking. I'm gonna be straight with you, dude. I don't know what you're talking about because I play that game hardcore. I don't remember. There was no way to play it solo.
Maybe that was like dude. I played the entire fucking game by myself. I didn't have another person to play with. I didn't have any. I only had one Game Boy Advance. Like I straight up. I don't know if it was secret or something, but there was a place you can go to, and there was like a group of Moogles there, and if you talk to them, one of them will join you on your quest, and he literally carries the chalice, so you can fight while he carries the chalice around. I know it's
possible. I didn't know about the Moogle.
I guess.
I don't remember that. And I remember that everyone that knew about the game was super aware that like you had to have friends or you were just fucked. So if that's the case, then I didn't know and I'm out on the fucking game and that pisses me off more.
What's the name of it again? Final Fantasy what? I'm Googling it.
Crystal Chronicles.
Fantasy Crystal
Chronicles.
They spell Crystal.
GameCube.
Crystal Chronicles. Oh, maybe
I'm not telling you how to spell fucking Crystal, Kyle.
Crystal Chronicles. Was there a second one called Echoes of Time? Maybe that was the one I played?
Yeah.
Wait a second, let me see.
It was it wasn't on GameCube, it was on Wii? I think.
Crystal Chronicles was on GameCube. Okay, yeah, then I did play.
No, I mean the second one. They did have a second one that failed terribly. It did not do well.
Dude, I swear to fucking God, I played this entire game by myself. Yeah, here it is, Crystal Chronicles. I found it. Gameplay, 14 members in a battle. Gameplay. Finals, roller to... Blah, 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 blah. Please choose. Players choose their avatar from one of 4 races. I remember that. So I played the game like a few times. Because you could change your race. Or you had different races. In single player, the player controls one character guarding the Moogle-held vessel from monster attacks while navigating dungeons. The game's multiplayer allows for 4 players to join in a gameplay session. Multiplayer relies on the GameCube console, blah, 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 but they did have a single-player mode.
This was the original?
Yeah. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles released on the GameCube in February 9th, 2004.
I, for whatever reason, had no idea, and I'm mad now.
Yeah, the type of radar and what it shows is determined by the color, the player's Moogle. The link cable can also be used in single player, allowing the GBA to be used with both a controller and a second screen displaying radar information. That's pretty cool. But yeah, you had a Moogle that carried your chalice for you. Dead ass.
No idea.
Huh.
Did not know that, or I would have fucking kept playing.
Because I thoroughly remember finishing that game and being like sad that it was over. Like it was like a turning point in my life or some shit. But like I remember that like dead ass, like that being a thing. All right, so we solved that answer though. All right, fellas, finally an interesting development from Nintendo. Being stupid for everything they do, one thing they do right, they like to do another thing wrong. They kind of neutralize chaotic neutral or whatever D&D thing that fits into. You can explain, Shawn.
There is no D&D term for fucking stupidity. I just call it Nintendo.
Okay, works. All right, so Nintendo restricts the new Switch NES controllers behind online subscription. This is by Jordan Ramey. During Nintendo's September Direct, the company announced a new Joy-Con controller for the Switch. These new Joy-Cons are shaped just like NES controllers, and you'll only be able to buy them if you're an online subscriber. The new controllers have the same Joy-Con Bluetooth connection, so you'll be able to play wirelessly and charge your controller by connecting them to the Switch or a Nintendo Charge Station. That being said, you cannot use the controllers while they're plugged into your Switch, so you can't use them in handheld mode. 2 controllers, a right and left Joy-Con, are sold in each box for $60. The shipments begin in mid-December, and the biggest surprises were reserved for the end of the Direct, which we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah.
Wait. So you can be an online member, buy them, get rid of the online membership, and then you've got good controllers.
I have no idea. But as far as what they're saying, you have to be online to it just says to buy them. But I don't know if they'll stop working if you're not an online member. But it's really weird.
That's even legal.
Like, why?
That's a very strange thing to do. Like, I don't understand where the real benefit is.
Yeah, like, why? Like, just, it's...
No, what you could do if you were trying to get people to buy the online service, because it's, as much as you say you're not going to do it, I wouldn't have a problem with it if I had a Switch, because it's fucking cheap. But I don't understand what the logic is behind that.
Yeah, no, it
It's not
just
like Nintendo's hurting for money right now.
no, it's really weird, and it seems like it just feels like a greedy move overall. I won't. The thing is if they do not work, if you don't have online, that would make me not want to get them because I'm not going to have the online all the time. Because I would only have it if it's a game that uses online will be out. Because anytime I'm playing the Switch on, I'm never home, so I can't even use the online. I never use this thing at home. I always have it when I'm out and out and about. So it's not something that I need or I can use. I would never use it. It'd be like having right now having the PlayStation service going on. Now that's a bit more expensive, but I don't use the PlayStation. So it's just money draining for no reason. Now again, it is cheap. But that's like saying every year someone just taking a $20 bill from you and you can tell them no, but they just take it from you anyway. Like which was a really stupid metaphor, but fucking
Yeah,
it just
I'm not really following that metaphor.
it's just money that I don't have to spend that I'm spending because I'm literally not using it whatsoever. It's like paying for a $20 a year stripper service and you never ask for a stripper to come to your door kind of thing. It's a waste of money.
Do they have those?
Yeah, in your mind, dude.
Well, I mean, what kind of fucking stripper would she be if she was only $20 a year?
Yeah, not a good one.
Like, she shows up and she's actually dead.
Gotta have her come
They
out of
just
a
wheel
cake.
Corpse up.
Yeah, dude.
Oh god, I don't even want to figure. I'm not even gonna try and figure out what I just said. We're moving on.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. All right, so that's that. Weird development coming from Nintendo. They're making a fucking multiplayer online Black Clover game. Why?
Well, Nintendo's making it.
No. It's just a Black Clover game's coming out. I'm looking at an ad. September 14th. Man, I don't give a shit about this whatsoever. Black Clover was like one of those shows that I knew within the first episode that I'm not gonna I'm not gonna watch it, like because the main character is such an annoying cunt. All right.
Is he like Shinji Ikari?
No.
Annoying,
imagine Rokuro from Twin Star. You know how he screams a lot. Imagine that dialed up to 11, and everything he says is screaming. And everything, and just speaking. Imagine just speaking to someone else. He's screaming at them. That's all this kid does. And imagine if that voice was squeaky, and that's all this kid is.
Still better than Shinji.
Oh yeah, obviously. But I've heard that it's good, but like when the main character is like a detestable piece of shit, then I just don't want to invest time in watching it. All right, so we have the Nintendo. What happened? Like even Rokuro, he pisses me off.
I said I don't blame you.
When he screams a lot. Like I'm like, dude, just shut up. You sound like a child. The fuck? I know, like
why he is technically somewhat of a child. I mean, I give him some credit for being beyond his years at times, but
yeah,
they go out of their way and fucking
the only thing that's
shows like that.
I said it before, but
stupid.
The only thing that's like redeeming about that show is the relationship between him and Benio. Like the rest of the show, again, it takes one step forward and two steps back with all the shit that it does. But that relationship that they have is at its point right now is it's pretty good. It feels real to a point. All right, Nintendo Direct. Nintendo. If you do not know what a Nintendo Direct does, they do these things called Treehouse live streams. I don't think they call them those anymore. I think they're just called Directs now. But they'll do a live stream, and instead of every year at E3 they announce a shitload of things, they'll just have throughout the year they'll drop small streams that announce things, and it's pretty cool. It definitely helps garner or like maintain hype throughout the year, although they have some directs that obviously are weaker than others, but this one was pretty good. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we have coming out. So this is a Kotaku article I found by Kirk Hamilton, basically talking about some of the announcements that we have. So one of the first things we got is that they are making another Luigi's Mansion. We're getting a Luigi's Mansion 3. That's its working title. We don't really know what it will be called, but it's coming to the Switch. Definitely super awesome thing. It's again, this is from the article. It's tentatively called Luigi's Mansion 3. Nintendo shared basically nothing else about the game, but it's nice to see that Luigi isn't dead after all, which was, I think that's a reference to one of the trailers.
There was a theory that there was a theory that he was dead in the games.
Yeah, so that's like I never played the second Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. That was on the 3DS, just because I don't think I had a 3DS at the time that it was like a thing. But I heard that it was good, although it was a little bit different in the way that they did the game. But the first game is still one of, like, it's up there with my favorite games on the GameCube. It was really good. And I'm sure Caitlyn will have a fucking heart attack when I tell her about it. But I'm super excited for another Luigi's Mansion, especially on the Switch. And say what you want about the Switch, but when Nintendo makes games for that, they do a good job utilizing the hardware. That's one thing they're really good at. They're really good at utilizing old and shitty hardware. I guess not necessarily shitty, but older hardware to make pretty games. They know the art style that they need. They work well with what they have to make their games look good. And they've developed an art style that it's easier to do so. Kind of like how WoW and Blizzard does with Overwatch and stuff like that. They have a specific art style that allows it to work on anything. So the same thing applies to Nintendo. And just from some of the screenshots I've seen, I'm like super excited to see this game. If it's anything like the first one, because I heard Dark Moon kind of was almost like a boss rush. It wasn't really like a mansion that you openly explore. You kind of had a bunch of levels you run through, and it was like a boss rush. You did all bosses. They all had different mechanics and stuff like that. But if this brings us back to a big open area that you walk around and you find ghosts as you explore, and there's a focus on atmosphere and stuff like that, like there was in the first, I'm so down for this game. I would love to have this and be able to play it. That's got me excited. So we have a few things also coming to 3DS. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn is coming to 3DS. I'd never played an Epic Yarn game, but I do like Kirby, but I've heard these ones were a bit less like Kirby and just more like a platformer kind of thing, although Kirby is a platformer, but there's things that make Kirby. And the last Kirby game I played was the mech one, where you had like a robot, and you could give the robot powers. I forget what that one was called, but that was a really good Kirby game. That was super fun. Also, Bowser's Inside Story is also coming to 3DS. I've never played the Inside Story games, but I do know that they're kind of like the Superstar Saga games, correct? Have you played the Superstar Saga games, Shawn? Mm-hmm. I fucking love those games.
Well, I played Paper Mario, and that was the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And I think Inside Story follows the same thing, but you're Bowser. But that's January 11th, 2019. Epic Yarn, they didn't really give a release date. Luigi's Mansion, we don't have a release date either. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe is coming to the Switch, which was the one that came out on the Wii. Just spit in the face of everyone that still has a Wii U. But they're technically like the side-scrolling.
That would be the person they're spitting in the face.
Exactly.
So you know.
Yeah.
Shawn's still angry about them abandoning me after I dumped all that fucking money into the Wii.
I feel you, because now I have a bunch of Wii U controllers that I can't use on anything, and now I have a Switch that needs controllers. So I'm like,
remember, I'll buy the Wii U controllers off of you, Nick.
I'm down to send you. I'm down to send them to you. The deluxe edition will include New Super Luigi U as well. It's out on January 11th, 2019. We also have a Katamari Damacy Switch remaster. Yes. That's all I have to say. Yes. These games are fucking awesome. I wonder if
they'll bring back Nobi Nobi Boy also, which was with the guys that did Katamari and got bored one time when they were waiting to do a new installment, so they made this game called Nobi Nobi Boy, which is even more pointless than Katamari and less of a puzzle game and more of just wow, that's weird, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
There's something just intrinsically satisfying about starting at like a small amount and just gaining size as you grab shit and gaining scale, and moving from having difficulty picking up dice on a floor to picking up entire buildings in your ball. And also the game is just so fucking Japanese. Like everything about it screams like odd Japanese. From the way that the story goes to the characters, the design, it's just weird. And it's got like that charm to it. So I'm excited to play it. Apparently it's using the Switch's gyro controls and will also support multiplayer. So that sounds definitely awesome. It's coming out this winter, and I'm just excited to play this game again, because the last time I played it was the original Katamari Damacy back on... What was the original Damacy on?
PlayStation 2.
Was it PlayStation 2?
Uh-huh.
Those... dude. That was a fun game, dude. And it was weird because it was like one of those games where I had no idea what it was, but a friend let me borrow it. And he forgot that he let me borrow it, so I just kind of never gave it back because I had too much fun with it. I've stolen a shitload of games from people, like purposely too. I was such a bad kid. Like Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, I never bought. I stole it because it was like one of those things where my parents were very strict about games. So I would like have to either get my grandma to go with me to buy something, or like just say goodbye. Like I wouldn't be able to get that game. So a lot of games I got because my friends or my godbrother or family would bring something over and they would quote unquote forget it in my Xbox. And then I would quote unquote forget to check that they forgot it in my Xbox. And then they'd leave. And then I just, hey, I had a free game. I also did that with one game. I did a lot, dude. I was a fucking asshole as a kid. Well, some could say I'm still an asshole, but a PSP game I took, it was like a Metal Gear game. I almost got in trouble for it too because it had cards in it, and some of the cards were like kind of suggestive. So I almost got in trouble for it because I was playing in the car and my dad saw like what I was playing, so I almost got it taken away. I don't remember what the game was called. Do you know what I'm talking about, Shawn? Original PSP?
Yeah. It was one of the first. It was the first Metal Gear Solid game on there. I don't remember what it was called.
But it played like Metal Gear, but you had cards that gave you like unique abilities and shit. And one of them was like a half-naked girl. So I got in trouble. I also picked up, dude, like, I don't know, I'm just getting overwhelmed with like nostalgia right now. I had a book. I used to rent manga from the library. I've been a weeb for a long time, guys. It's chronic. And I would rent manga from the library, and they had one I got in trouble for. I used to, whatever spare money I had from being a kid, I would buy Naruto, like the original Naruto manga. And it was like the one that I wasn't really into it. I just liked the art. Like I've always been a huge fan of like art and animation. And I liked the art. And it was the same chapter or same volume that he ended up learning how to like do sexy jutsu for the first time. So like I just open up to a page and it's like like female Naruto, you know, all curvy and shit with like the clouds covering the boobs and vajayjay. And like I was in the car when I flipped that page and everyone around me happened to see it and I got in trouble for that. There's also a dot hack. There's a dot hack one that I rented and it had like a girl on it that was like dark skinned and she had jubblies and stuff like that. I almost got in trouble for that as well. But yeah, I stole a lot of I was an asshole as a kid. I stole a lot of games from family members. Like just someone that I could rattle off. Assassin's Creed 2, Oblivion 4 or Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, that Metal Gear game, Fallout 3, the first Fear game, Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube, Pikmin, the first Pikmin game. And I think there was like a 3DS game in there I took too. But yeah, dude.
There's like sonic booms going on outside my house because him feels compelled to talk back to them.
Yeah. He's like, hey, back off. This is my domain. You fuck off.
Intelligence is, hey! And then his brain shuts down.
Yeah, dude. They shared a little bit more about their online service. It's out on the September 18th, so in 2 days it comes out. The classic NES games that will be coming out with the service as well will support online, so there'll be multiplayer for them, and cloud saves, again, for most games. Hopefully you don't break your Switch in the next couple of weeks. It will cost $3.99 for 1 month, $7.99 for 3 months, $19.99 for 12 months. We already talked about that. We talked about the NES controller. They will work with all classic NES games that will be coming with the online service, and you can charge them by attaching to the Switch so it looks like a fucking transformer. Wow, in the article, this dude literally said LMAO, like he typed out LMAO in this article. That's fantastic. They'll come in packs of two and will cost $60. They'll be apparently only be available to people with paid Nintendo Online accounts. So, as we spoke of before. So, I guess you can subscribe, buy the controllers, and then unsubscribe. So, I don't know if they can. I don't know if they have the technology to lock you out of your account. They probably do. But I don't know if they'd go that far to lock you out of using them at all if your account wasn't like synced to a paid subscriber online account kind of thing. Game Freak is actually making a new RPG for the Switch. It's called Town, which is a working title. And it looks pretty cool. I saw the trailer for it. It has nothing to do with Pokemon. It is nothing like Pokemon. It's still turn-based, which is probably the only thing that makes it like Pokemon. But you're a little kid, you walk around town, monsters attack, and yeah, it's coming out in 2019. That's about all we know. It's just a trailer that we've received for it so far. Again, it's not Pokemon related. You're not catching Pokemon. You're not doing anything like that. But I like Game Freak. I think they make good games. And it's weird because nothing about this game reminds me of Pokemon. The art style is unique. The movement's unique. It's all third person, moving around. It's its own thing, its own branch. So it looks really cool. I like the art style, the new thing that they're going with. It looks expansive. It looks fun. And the combat is turn-based, and I'm always a fan of turn-based, so I'm excited for that as well. I know Shawn's not really a fan of Game Freak, and he's currently muted because he's probably got barking issues. But
I don't really care about Game Freak, but my question is why are you shocked that it's not like Pokemon? If it's not a Pokemon game, why would it be like Pokemon?
I don't know. Sometimes when like a developer branches out to something new, you can see parts of like their previous experience. Like if all you do is make Pokemon games for 15 years and that's what or 10 years, and that's what you get good at. It'd actually be close to 20 years at this point. Holy shit. Game Freak's been around a long time. Like sometimes they like to make nods to other, whatever's made them big. Like I'm not expecting to see that you literally throw out Pokemon, but maybe like the art style might be kind of similar, but it's like completely its own thing. It's not that I'm not like super surprised. I'm surprised that they're even making a new RPG. I thought Game Freak would be making Nintendo till they die, or making Pokemon till they die. But I'm just excited to see something else from them. It's just sometimes you see like that leak into other titles. I don't know what kind of branches Game Freak has. If this is like its own separate branch of Game Freak that doesn't even touch Pokemon. They've been working on this for a while. No idea. But I'm interested to see it. It's got me excited. Another announcement we got, City Skylines is coming to the Switch, and it dropped during that direct, which I think is always cool that Nintendo does that. I think they've done that with something else before. They did that with the Legend of Zelda DLC, where they'll announce it, and then it's like, dude, it's ready right now. Go get it. Like that. I think that's kind of cool. That like, I mean, no one gives a fuck about City Skylines, but it's still pretty cool.
Looks like SimCity.
It pretty much is SimCity. It pretty much did what the newest SimCity did wrong, because the newest SimCity was fucking trash. The thing is like you kind of need a little bit, like especially once you get bigger, grandiose cities, it's kind of difficult to do smaller, precise things with a controller. So I don't know, and the Joy-Cons are really trash. Like they're cool and innovative, but like it just feels weird to control them. Especially in handheld mode. So I don't know how well that will move like to a port that's on a console. I don't even know if SimCity's on other consoles. I don't know at all. I just know I have it on PC. But that's cool. Apparently also Civilization 6 is also coming to Switch, which is pretty cool. And the same thing applies there. Like you are managing a lot. And I don't know how well that would like transcribe to a controller. But that's also pretty cool.
Civ's making a comeback.
Civ's been kind of they've always been, I don't know how big they used to be, but they've always been niche. But they've been making games. They had never stopped making games. I don't know how their popularity has fluctuated, but I've always heard of Civ. I've always known that Civ's been a thing and it's been around. I know that Civ 6 wasn't the best Civ. I know people had some complaints about it. A lot of people would still move back to like Civ 5. A lot of people really like Civ 5 for what it was. So some people, I think there's more active players on Civ 5 than there are on Civ 6, which is saying something. But that's interesting. I've never played the games. I've heard that sometimes a game, depending on how many players you have, can last like the campaigns can last hundreds and hundreds of hours over the course of like weeks and shit like that, depending on what's going on. So I always thought that'd be like a cool experience. Like, oh, hey, like, yo, let's get on Civ. But the thing is, you always have to have the same group of people every time.
Your Civ fans and the Age of Empires and all those guys that got into those I don't know what you'd
They're
call them,
kind of
strategy sims. I
I guess
guess.
that works.
Yeah, the guys that got into those things, man, they were diehards, and they were like the uberest of the uber computer geeks because they would sit in front of those fucking games, and that is more boring to watch than golf or like two potatoes fucking. Like
Yeah,
it
dude.
is so obscenely dull. And but if you play it, especially if that's your bag, I played more rudimentary versions of it that were available on like flip phones that were they were fun, but they were much more basic and they were in depth. I never had the interest to develop that much time planning thing with that type of game.
Yeah, there's
It
always
just never drew me in.
oh yeah, there's always like
But
a
yeah,
super steep learning curve to things like this.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you lose big. But the people who were into that, man, they were like fucking AFI fans. Like, you do not fuck with Civ.
Yeah.
Like, they would riot if you fucking said anything about it. Like, yeah, it's not really my bag. They're like, what? And then
Here, come play
6 hours later.
Yeah.
I'm still
Come play a 30-hour game with me. Come on.
It was fucking I got to the point where I was like, yeah, it's cool, and then run away.
Yeah.
Like the moment the fucking subject comes up.
Yeah, so apparently it's coming to Switch. It'll have 4-player local multiplayer, and it'll be out on November 16th. So that's pretty cool. Next, we have World of Final Fantasy is coming to Switch, which was a really fun kind of side thing of Final Fantasy. Is pretty much, it was weird because at the time it had come out, it was right after Final Fantasy 15. So Final Fantasy 15, as if you've listened for a while, you know what it did to me and Shawn. Not royally screwed, but taking that step away from the Final Fantasy formula and what it did to fans. And then they released World of Final Fantasy, which it kind of did what we wanted 15 to do, where we wanted it to take the formula and evolve it, which is what World of Final Fantasy did. It took the turn-based strategy and it evolved it by adding in a pseudo Pokemon element and the stacking element that's in the game, where you can literally stack things on your head depending on what form you're in, and they'll give you buffs and debuffs depending on how you set the stack up. And then the stack can topple. It was all very cutesy. It was all very cutesy the way they did it, but it had a lot of odes to Final Fantasy as a whole. Again, World of Final Fantasy, it was all about Final Fantasy. If you're a fan of that game, of any of those games, if you've been playing for a long time or if you only played a few titles, they had something for every Final Fantasy fan in that game. And it basically all the characters, all the stuff, and it was really just an awesome little thing. And it took over because I had just come off of Final Fantasy 15, and I'm like, fuck that game. And I was like, I'm gonna play this one, and this one was like just overwhelmingly better. It was really cool, and that's coming to Switch. It's coming out November 6th, so that's really cool. It's called World of Final Fantasy Maxima. So I don't know if it'll probably include all the DLC or something, but if that sounds interesting to you, definitely a really fun, really adorable, very just nostalgic piece of that franchise. Super awesome game. I liked it a lot.
I own 2 copies of it and have yet to play it, but that's a surprise to no one.
It's really
I have
good.
it on Vita and I have it on PS4.
It's really fun. I liked it a lot. I played it on PS4. A few more Final Fantasy things for Switch. Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age is coming to the Switch. It will be out next year, so definitely interesting. I know it was recently re-released on everywhere, pretty much. So that's pretty cool. So I wonder what version of the game it will be. If it will be like a older, I don't know how well the Switch can do. I don't know what the remaster was even like. I never finished 12. I started it, but I was at a friend's house. And I never finished that game. We also have remasters for Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy X, and Final Fantasy X-2 are all coming to the Switch next year. So we have a shitload of love for Final Fantasy coming to the Switch. I don't even remember X2. The fuck was that? Was X the one with lightning?
That's 10 too.
Is 10 with lightning, or is that 13?
10 and 10. No, it's the one where Yuna is trying to resurrect Titus.
Okay. Titus.
Titus.
It's
not.
So definitely, if you played those games, you enjoyed them, you have an avenue of doing it on the go.
He does that shit just to piss me off.
I do.
Just so you know.
I always thought Final Fantasy was a cool thing to have on the go, just because like turn-based RPGs or something that you can. I mean, usually it's something you can hop in and out of, but if you get sucked in, you'll be there for a while. But there's not something that like it's easy to do on the Switch because usually they're all turn-based, and you're not. I don't know. It's just like something with the Switch controller, like on the go. It just doesn't. It's like the worst way to play things like Doom or something like that. So with games like this, where you don't really need precision or you don't need to be moving the camera quickly or whatever, the Switch is built for this kind of shit. Like for indie games and turn-based games like this, RPGs like this, that's most of the titles I have on the Switch are like this. So I'm super excited to see this. Will I buy these games? Maybe. I can't guarantee. It depends what's going on next year.
If I buy a Switch, I will, but I'm already buying them for Vita on my, and to have a portable PlayStation and PlayStation 2 to carry around, and then I'm probably, oh god, there's so many fucking projects I'm working on. I'm having a nightmare. I got the Vita, I've got the surfboards, I've got the Monogatari statues, the Monogatari Blu-ray/DVDs, the books, the other statues, the fucking video games, so much. My job sucks. Oh god. I'm an idiot.
All right, we have two final announcements before we call it for this episode. Animal Crossing's Isabelle is coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a character. Did I see this coming?
What?
No fucking way I saw this coming. Isabelle.
Animal Crossing's Isabelle?
The one that helps you as the manager. She's like your secretary. She's like yellow.
I played the first one for about 15 minutes.
She's coming to Smash as a character. It's funny. I've seen already a few memes for this. Like it showed her, it's because it says Isabelle turns over a new leaf, and then it shows Little Matt coming in and like fucking clocking her right on the side of the head.
Oh god,
that was so funny. And he's just like putting all of his effort into that punch. Oh my god, it was so funny. So yeah, she's coming to Switch Ultimate or Smash Ultimate. Now, also with this announcement, what they also announced, we have a new Animal Crossing coming to Switch. Fuck yeah. 2019, we're getting a new Animal Crossing. Hopefully it's nothing like New Leaf, because I thought that game was shitty. And I hope it's something more like the Animal Crossing we had on GameCube, because that one was actually interesting and you had shit to do, instead of let me log on for 10 minutes a day and do my dailies and then do nothing else, because I hated that. I'd rather actually give you content to do. And New Leaf was just like that, where you couldn't do jack shit. You had to be a certain time of day or something like that. There wasn't like something you could always do, which annoyed the fuck out of me. It was almost more like just manage your friends and slowly make money. It annoyed me. So hopefully it's not like that. It'd be cool if it had multiplayer, like active multiplayer, where you could have your people come to your town and help you do stuff. That'd be awesome. We only got really a trailer of it, and that's about it. I don't know if we have a release date for it yet. I am not too sure. But to finally wrap everything up, a couple other things. We have the original Luigi's Mansion is coming to the 3DS with a new 2-player co-op mode on October 12th. We're getting another Yokai Watch. There's an update to the Yokai Watch blasters. So there's content basically. Splatoon 2 is also getting another set of maps and modes in version 4. Mario Tennis Aces is getting another update on the 19th with Birdo, Shy Guy, Koopa Paratroopa, and PD Piranha as playable characters. The Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle will introduce a bunch of classic Capcom games for up to 4 players. The Switch is getting some tabletop games like Carcassonne, The Lord of the Rings, the Living Card Game, Pandemic, Munchkin, and Catan. This fall's Switch port of The World Ends With You, which has me really excited, will include some new areas and enemies. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody is coming to Switch this winter, and Warframe will be coming to Switch November 20th. That's about it. No sign of Resident Evil 4 or Metroid Prime HD Collection ports, or Metroid Prime 4 either. So, what do you think about that, Shawn? We're getting some tabletop games. There's a beat 'em up bundle coming out.
I think Nintendo's doubling down on the fucking Switch. Like, they're going all out, which is a smart move because they're still...
Yeah,
I mean, there's a sufficient number of holdouts, and they really want this in every home.
Yeah.
So
another thing,
you can't exactly fault them for it.
I know they're just flooding it with games, which is cool. It's awesome for people that have a Switch. Give me a fucking... give me an OS update.
Legacy game.
Why the fuck can I not watch Netflix on my Switch yet? Why can I not look at YouTube on my Switch yet? Why can I not browse the internet on my Switch yet? Why is that not a thing?
As difficult as it is to sit there and say that, to imagine that Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing, because I keep coming back to that. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, how do they not? I mean, even if they're not these other studios, even if they don't have all this experience and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, even if that were the case, it just doesn't make sense that they can't hire the staff to figure out how to do it. So I keep coming back to, like, it's got to be on purpose somehow. Like, there is an intentional reason why they are not doing what they should be doing, and I don't know what that is. I think it's the same thing we're seeing with PlayStation and crossplay, because they don't have to. Nintendo doesn't have to do it. No, well, I mean, an OS update, in a way you could kind of say it is, but with the amount of units that they've already sold for the Switch, it makes sense to just flood it with games, because you have a huge player base as of right now. It's still big. There's still a lot of hype for it because it's still relatively new. So just flooding the market with games, people will just pick them up, whatever they see that they like. And adding more things to play on the Switch will give people more things to spend money on. Adding YouTube to Switch, although it may in turn sell more consoles in the future, as of right now will not bring money in. But flooding it with games will most certainly bring money in. I know that... it engenders loyalty. I mean, Nintendo is notorious for doing stuff that they know will make people happy. And happy people are profitable people. I don't know, man. It still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it would be smart to do it, but I think their main goal is what we're seeing here, adding games as of right now. And then in the future, maybe they'll devote something to updating the OS, because the OS is very, very simple. You have a kind of...
How much money does it take? Seriously, how much money do you think it's going to cost them to fucking do that? I don't get it.
The thing is I think it depends on how they built the OS.
It because they're angry at YouTube for fucking...
I don't think so.
All the lawsuits and shit that they've been doing, the content bitching.
No, I think it depends on how the OS was built. It might be possible that it's kind of difficult the way they originally designed it, because if you look at the OS that launched with the Switch, it was rushed out. They rushed out the Switch to get it out on March. So they had a good date. There wasn't anything else around it. They didn't have to wait till later in the year when other shit was going on. So it dropped at a perfect time. You can tell by the OS that it was rushed. It's very light on features. There's not a lot to it, and they're adding stuff to it now. The fucking store didn't even have a search function on launch. They had to add that in afterwards. That thing was rushed. So I think right now is because of the rush, they might be playing catch up, but still trying to hold on to the profit and the group that they have currently before we see the fall off you see just over time. Because people just slowly just lose interest. Right now it's big thing. It's going on. There's games coming out. There's a lot of people talking about the Switch. Well, maybe not as much as before, but because we're starting to see that taper off. But I think right now it's like, we got a cash cow practically bleeding. We need to just let it do its thing and to just keep like fanning the fire, I think is what's going on. And then they'll worry about quality of life stuff after. They just did straight basics that will help people buy more games and manage their games. But now it's pretty much just a game system. It's not a home console. It's more of a mobile system than it is a home console, because home consoles now are media devices. They have things like Twitter, or not Twitter, but they have things like YouTube, Twitch, stuff like that. They are choking on my spit. They are entertainment centers. So I see the Switch more of as a even though they marketed it as it's a home console you could take on the go. It feels more of like a mobile console that you can strap to a TV because it's so feature light. So I don't know, dude. I think what they're doing is they're trying to make as much money as they can now while it's big, while it's going, flood it with games, and then quality of life will come later in future OS updates. I don't know. I don't know. It's only things that we can guess, because obviously we're just two dudes that sit on our asses and talk about shit on the internet. We don't really know much of the ins and outs of what goes on over at Nintendo. But I still like the Switch.
So I'm a fairly intelligent. Well, no, I'm definitely an intelligent person. But I try and be humble about it. But I have a high IQ. And when you have a high IQ, it's a little frustrating when you look at a situation and there is no apparent logical recourse. And if there's no logical, like, how are they making money by stiffing people on features?
I think it's because the focus that everyone's on right now. Not everyone's calling for YouTube.
You can focus on that and still have, like, common features. Like, that's not a hugely difficult process.
Again,
it's so weird to me.
I think it's a combination of a few things. Like, hey, they're big right now. There's not a huge outcry for stuff like this. So if they don't have to do it, why do it? You kind of get what I'm saying? I mean, like,
they do need to do it. There is a big outcry for it. People have been firing on Nintendo since Jump for having a shitty OS with minimal features. This is not like
I don't hear it coming from people now. That's the only thing. I don't hear it coming from people now. I complain about it because I have no other reason to use the damn thing unless I'm out. But I don't hear, like, it's not like something you're seeing people scream about. People are content.
Well, the publications still are.
Well, yeah, again, it's definitely weird. I think it's because it's like the thing where, like, the average person that's using a Switch is pseudo content with what they're doing right now. A lot of it with the complaints are kind of outliers with it. Now, whether they be the vocal minority or whatever, I just think that Nintendo hasn't seen enough of a backlash currently where it's actually them seeing it affect numbers to a point where they have to buckle down and add it. So they're just putting all bars ahead on let's just slap a fuckload of games onto this thing. They might even be working on a second iteration of the Switch, something that has a better battery life. I have no idea what they're planning, but I know that they want to support the hell out of this thing because it's been super successful. So I don't know, dude. It's weird. Nintendo's kind of like the laughing joke, or like the joke when it comes to things like this. Like, they're stupid because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They do. I'm sure they do. They've been in the video game business for a really long time. I think they're just purposely I don't know. I think they're just purposely not doing certain things that they're deeming less of a priority to focus more on balls to the wall. Let's get contracts to get games developed. Let's get people working on more games. Let's get more people doing this. Let's make this the ultimate mobile/home thing, and the other stuff we'll worry about later. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't be using a fucking app to talk to people on the online thing. Like, it seems like they're just deeming everything else less of a priority while they work on just getting games out to the system. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not too sure, though. Again, I don't know. Like, that's another reason I don't give a shit about the online. Like, its only purpose is so I could maybe play Mario Kart with a friend that's not in the room with me. And I can't even talk to him unless we're using something like Discord already. I was saying, I said it would be pretty cool. Now, I don't know how this works with, like, security and shit like that, but, like, do something different. Maybe, like, partner with, like, Discord. Imagine they partnered with Discord and got something on the Switch that you can use Discord actively while you play games. Again, I don't know how the hell that would work, but then you would be the first console to boast about that, and then you have all these other things going for you, and then you have someone to develop your communication system for you, and then everyone wins in that point, and then people actually have something they could do on their Switch. Again, I have no idea how difficult that might be with the way the Switch's OS is designed. I don't even know if it has the capabilities of doing something like that, because there could be hardware limitations. I mean, you might not be able to plug in a mic because for some reason that earphone jack can't read headphone input or whatever, like when it comes to mics and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's why they use the app. I don't know.
Nintendo isn't that short-sighted.
I don't know.
No, as he says without suppressing laughter.
So, yeah, I mean,
maybe.
I'm still excited for the games, but it will never be my console of choice. And it's sad to say that about Nintendo, but that's just what they've become at this point. Now, it might be a console of choice for a lot of kids because it's like the only thing they have. But if you have avenues to other things, I can't imagine someone picking a Switch over a PS4 or an Xbox. Maybe an Xbox. But like a Switch, I can't see one picking a Switch over a PS4 because there's just so much more to the PS4 because it's more of a entertainment center. It's a social thing. It's got all this other stuff to it where the Switch is just like a powerful 3DS that you can plug into a TV. So I don't know. It's still a cool piece of equipment, but I don't fucking use it, dude. If it was that cool, I'd still use it, and I don't. I even bring it to work, and I never take it out of my backpack. I just sit on my laptop at work, and I get time. It's just something about it. Also, is the work environment because you could always have something fall into your lap while you're doing stuff, and it would pull you out of whatever you're doing. So doing something like getting invested in a 180-hour JRPG isn't something that's kind of privy to that type of work environment. So I don't fucking know though, dude. I'm still excited for these games. Nintendo's killing it. The Switch was quite the success. So power to them. Hopefully, I don't know. They probably know their online shit. That's why it's cheap. That's the only thing I could think of. They know it. They know, hey, we're not gonna charge too much for this. This is just okay. So, you have anything else, Shawn, to add before we call it a night?
Not a damn thing but a chicken wing and a G-string, yo. I'm out.
All right. Well, for those of you that are still hanging around, what do you guys think of Nintendo? What do you guys think of the Switch? What would you like to see come to the Switch, either video game or OS related? That's about it. This was episode 66, I think. Yeah, 66 of the Thought Patrol podcast. Holy shit. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us every week. It really is nice to know that there are people that do tune in to our banter and stuff like that. Feel free to check out the other ways of... We do banter. Feel free to check out the other ways of hanging out with us. We'd love to see some of you guys join the Discord, hang out with us over there. Check out the Twitch streams. The Twitch, we're getting close to 100 followers on Twitch, so that's really cool. If you can just even stop by and drop a follow, help us out there. We'd really appreciate that from you guys. We're trying to make that into something, and we would love to get any support that you guys can provide to us. It would mean a lot. So, Yep. So, Shawn, let me hear it from you. What you got for us?
Hugs and kisses and all your pink parts.
Nice, dude.
You're welcome.
I don't even know what to say after that. I'm like kind of aroused. All right.
That is the desired intention.
Okay. So, and before we go, I shall leave you all with a thought. Mount Olympus Mons on Mars is 3 times the size of Mount Everest.